Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Pipe Cottage. I have a wonderful, pleasant guest with me today, Eddie Gray from the Pipe Nook, and we are going to be talking about his business and his pipe journey. And I think this will be of benefit to a lot of people who are just getting into pipe smoking and are looking for a store that they can use to help build their pipe collection and their tobacco cellar. So Eddie, it is such a privilege and an honor to have you on the Pipe Cottage channel today.
Alan, I appreciate you having me, man.
Well, I think we all need to get our pipes going, and then we'll start our conversation. So what do you have in your pipe today, and what are you smoking? What pipe are you smoking?
I'm loading up. This is a Peterson Phoenix pipe, which is an exclusive here at the Pipe Nook. It's, I think, the first exclusive I ever had. I did have some estate pipes early on in the business that Savinelli found in a closet somewhere that were 30 years old. But these are the first pipes that were made exclusively for the Pipe Nook from Peterson. They're 9mm filtered, and I'm loading up some on a bookshop.
Man, you buy that by the pound. Well, I'm going to tell people what's going on this side of the video. I am actually going to be smoking a Savinelli 207 that I got from Eddie's store. This is a beautiful pipe. I love the rustication on this. And so I wanted to also open up a tin of McClellan Bombay Court. I don't know if people can see that or not, but this is a tin of McClellan Bombay Court that I purchased at the Muletown Pipe Show this past March, and it's from 2009. 2009. Oh, so wow. It's got 14 years of age on it.
Very nice.
For those who do not know what Bombay Court is, let me read the tin description. A superb oriental mixture spiced with the finest rare Turkish tobaccos, cut wide and enhanced by just enough naturally aromatic, cool, smoky Latakia. Matured Virginias, fine cut from aged cakes, add naturally sweet, full flavor. Nice. And so I had a tin of this a couple of years ago that a friend of mine gave me, and it's about gone. But man, I'm opening this tin up right now on video. Great day in the morning. Oh, can you see the lovely leaf in that?
Nice.
Ooh, that's gonna just make your tongue slap your brains out. So Eddie, I am going to start filling up this pipe.
Sure.
Fire it up, because this is a momentous occasion. And so tell folks a little bit about your store. How long you been the owner of the Pipe Nook?
I got started with the Pipe Nook in early 2016, if I recall. So I've never been a mathematician. It's been 7 years. Been about 7 years.
So how has your business grown and changed over time since you started it?
Well, when I started out real small. I didn't want to go in debt to start a business, and it was the very first business I'd ever got off the ground. I started it as kind of an extension of my YTPC channel here on YouTube. And I just thought, you know what, I'll just open a small shop and make it a hobby, basically, and just see where it goes. So that first year I started with just a little bit. I think I had a few Savinelli pipes and some Missouri Meerschaum pipes. And that got me started. I wasn't carrying tobacco yet. And then any sales I made, which was, light at the beginning there, but any sales I made, I just reinvested into the business. So it didn't earn me a lick that first year. Second year, a little bit better, a little bit bigger. I was able to offer more things, and it just kind of grew from there until around the time of the pandemic. The first year of the pandemic was not bad. Second year, was the first year I saw a slump in sales, but we're still going fairly strong, and I'm hopeful, for the future.
So is this something that you do full time now?
My bad. I thought it might be a good time to light, but
Oh, light. I mean, we are in no hurry. People
2020, mid 2021, I went full time. So it's been 2 years full time now. I let the day job go back in 2021, which hindsight's 2020. That was a rough time to make that decision.
Yeah.
But we've kept afloat. So thank God for that.
Yeah, right. Well, I have, and I first learned about you through George Bruno's stuff. I started watching George several years ago, and he and I have become good friends over the past 2 or 3 years. But I learned about you through his videos, and then I checked your site out, and I thought, man, this is good. This is some good material. And actually, at one time, I tried to have my own online store.
Yeah, I remember that.
But I decided that after we moved to Kentucky, I didn't want to deal with the regulations, and I didn't want to really go that route. One day down the road, much later on, maybe 10, 15 years from now, maybe I'd like to have a brick and mortar shop. But for now, I'm just enjoying producing content and talking to good folks like you. So, Eddie, tell us, what do you think your unique contribution is to the pipe smoking industry? What is it that's different and new about the Pipe Nook that did not exist before?
Well, when I got started as a pipe smoker, I toyed with pipe smoking on and off for 20 years, but when I got real serious about pipe smoking, that was around 10 years ago, 2013. There was no longer a pipe shop in my hometown, which is I live in the Pensacola, Florida area, up in the Panhandle, Northwest Florida, as north and west as you can get, and still be in Florida. And when I was a younger man, we had the tinderbox in the mall. You could go buy pipes and buy some pipe tobacco. The guy that owned it and the guy that managed it, they both retired, and they just closed up shop. There was a place downtown called the Pipe Rack in downtown Pensacola, Florida. They pretty much turned into a mini market over time, but they eventually wound up closing their doors. And the cigar shops in town, we had one to three in a given year. They by and large quit carrying pipes and pipe tobacco and accessories and whatnot. And I thought, well, Pensacola is not a small town, so there's got to be tons of places in the US where people have to drive hours to get to a pipe shop, and that's just not feasible. And that was my case when I got started around 2013 in the pipe smoking hobby. So I was buying all my stuff online. And when you buy online back then, it was the big guys. It was only the big guys. I couldn't find any place where I knew a face or I could talk to somebody that I would recognize the name even. It was all just buying from large warehouse type companies. And I missed that being able to deal with one-on-one with a business owner. So when I decided to, the wheels started turning and I decided to start the Pipe Nook, that's what I wanted to be for the online pipe community, and even further, is what I call your virtual brick and mortar, where if somebody has a question, they can contact me via email, or they can call me on the phone. They can ask me whatever they want about tobaccos and pipes and this, that, and the other. And You know, I do my best to give them educated answers, you know, and people find that people are drawn to that, I think. They're not just buying from Amazon or what have you, you know. And I've got some customers that I've made relations with over, you know, that we've become friends, and I recognize the names when a new order comes through, and I can jot down a little note on the invoice, you know. So it's been really good. I've had a lot of fun with it.
So we're talking about the history of it. So what's when you're dealing in the business world, you have to think of what future projections are going to look like, and exactly what's going to be the place of this business in the future. And it's almost difficult, it's almost impossible to talk about that because of government regulation. We don't know what new laws and new policies are going to be coming down the pipeline in the next 5 or 10 years. But Eddie, what is your ultimate goal for this business? Do you have any type of long-term vision? Where do you want this business to be 5 or 10 years from now?
You know, I've thought about that a lot, and honestly, from the very beginning, it was never my intent to grow the business beyond myself. Maybe one coworker. I was, you know, kind of thinking about my wife or my kids helping me out as that need arose. But I'm not looking to expand and buy a big warehouse and, you know, make things any bigger than I do want to grow what stock that I carry, but I like for it to be a home-based business. I operate this out of the office in my house, has basically become my inventory space, and it's just shelves all around, you know. But once I burst at the seams there, I don't think I'm going to be introducing any more brands. So
Eddie, I know that you concentrate a lot on 9mm pipes.
Yes, sir.
Why do you like to convince people and influence people to move into a 9mm? And for those who don't know what 9mm pipes are, we're talking about a pipe that has a large hole in the shank that is able to accommodate a filter in that particular size. So I know that you encourage new pipe smokers especially to go with 9mm filtered pipes. So why is that? I mean, am I wrong? Is that what you're encouraging people to do?
I do, because when I got started smoking a pipe, well, let me backtrack, because it's not just me. I think a large percentage of folks that try to smoke a pipe run into tongue bite. They burn their mouths, you know, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and then they're just like, this is not for me. I can't figure it out. And they're done with it. And I think a lot of people give up before they properly learn how to smoke a pipe. But at the same time, there is a percentage of folks, and I'm included in that, where no matter how well you learn how to smoke your pipe, you're always going to have trouble with tongue bite. And I think a lot of those people just give up without even thinking about trying pipe filters. And there was a prevalent conception, I think, in the pipe community, even here online on YouTube and what have you, that pipe cleaners aren't necessary. And for most people, that's true. But I'm living proof that they are necessary for some folks to enjoy the pipe smoking hobby. If I didn't find charcoal filters, particularly the 9mm charcoal filters, I'd probably smoke a pipe. I'd still smoke, but I'd probably smoke maybe once a week, 1 bowl a week. And I wanted to smoke more than that. I came from cigar smoking primarily, and I liked smoking a few cigars a week. Well, now I can smoke 2 to 5 bowls a day, and tongue bite's not a problem for me. So charcoal filters, whether 6mm or 9mm, because, you know, Savinelli is now making those 6mm charcoal filters. And I use those in my Cobbs. I use those in my old Dr. Graybows that I got started with. Charcoal filters have just been a game changer for me and allow me to smoke a lot more than otherwise I'd be able to.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a benefit to people who are just starting out, because I often get comments from newbies, for the lack of a better term, and they're oftentimes dealing with tongue bite. The first time I bought a 7 pipe, it was a 6 mm filtered pipe. It was a 626, and I couldn't get enough a draw out of it. And so when I figured out, I didn't know that pipes had filters in them. When I first got that pipe, I was so ignorant. I didn't know. When I figured out it had a wooden filter in it, when I pulled that thing out, and man, I could get with it. I could really make it happen. I could get some flavor. But is there a difference between these wood filters that Savinelli usually uses and these charcoal filters that you're talking about?
There is definitely a difference. Now, the wood filters never helped me with tongue bite. Me personally, I mean, your mileage may vary out there. You know, some folks, that's all they need is a balsa filter.
Yeah.
But for me, they didn't help all that much at all. They do help with keeping moisture out of the smoke a bit, but charcoal filters, to me, the charcoal filters don't affect, well, I shouldn't say that. Charcoal filters for me focus the taste of the tobacco. And that is a highly debatable subject, as you know.
Yeah.
But it helps me to focus on the taste of the tobacco outside of the impurities that are otherwise in the smoke.
Yeah.
Well,
Eddie, let's go back to some basic questions here. I mean,
sure.
If they want to learn more about your business, they can we'll talk about that at the end of the video, how they can find you, how they can contact you. But right now, I just want to pick your brain a little bit and ask a basic, simple question. Why do you enjoy pipe smoking? What is it about pipes and pipe tobacco that makes a contribution to your everyday life?
Well, pipe smoking for me is just a way to sit back and relax, de-stress, not worry about things. It's an easy way for me to collect my thoughts, or it's kind of a talisman, if you will, to help me collect my thoughts. I've had plenty of prayerful moments with my pipe in my hand, thinking about times past, present, and future. And it just really helps me to collect, get a sense of clarity, I guess, come up with a game plan for the day or a game plan for the week. Think about friends that I've lost, you know, I mean, all that stuff. I mean, I sit and read a book when I smoke a pipe. It's just the most important way for me to relax and stay calm in a world that the phone's constantly ringing, the emails are off, you know, just off the chain. It's a way for me to just sit back and relax. And that's something that I learned from my great-grandfather years and years ago when I was a little kid. I would watch him smoke his pipe, and he was never as relaxed as when he had that pipe, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying. And I can certainly relate to that. And I think a lot of people who watch the Pipe Cottage can certainly relate to your points as well. Eddie, do you ever go to pipe shows and present your business at pipe shows and that sort of thing?
You know, I've never sat at a booth at a pipe show. I'm probably the worst small business owner in the world as far as that goes. I've been to a couple of pipe shows. I've been to 3 or 4. Well, I've been to 2 in Nashville back when Southern Fried Pipe Club would host them. And then when Briarworks kind of took that over in Columbia, Tennessee, I've been to 2 of those. Didn't get to go to the one this year, so I missed you there.
Yeah.
But and then I try to go to pipe meetups and pipe events as I find them around the area. I haven't been to Chicago or out west or in any of those pipe shows just yet. But if I can drive there, that's kind of my rule of thumb. If I can drive there, I'll probably do my best to go. I know we met at the Country Squires final podcast, that live podcast.
Yeah, that was a fun time
in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah, that was fun. We I've not been to Chicago. I don't think I ever will go to Chicago, but Brian Levine has convinced me to go to Vegas.
Yeah, I know you're going.
I'm going to go to Las Vegas. I've never been to Vegas in my whole life. And so I'm going to fly out there with my wife. We're going to make that happen. And I'm looking forward to it. But let's talk about the future of brick and mortars. I mean, do you ever think the Pipe Nook is going to be an actual brick and mortar store, or you just want to stay online?
I don't see the Pipe Nook going with a brick and mortar. That's not to say I wouldn't partner with a brick and mortar store and maybe expand that way to where I would still run the online arm of a shared business and have a local brick and mortar. That wouldn't be out of the question for me, but I don't have any plans to open a brick and mortar store. And that's not because I don't have any love for brick and mortars. Now, I always tell people, when you're out traveling, or if you're fortunate enough to have a brick and mortar close by, do your best to patronize those stores, help keep them in business, because, if you don't, I mean, there's a reason we've lost so many of them. Part of that's government regulation, and part of it's the online space. And so when I opened the Pipe Nook, I was like, well, am I adding to the problem? But it was never my intent to step on the toes of a local brick and mortar, like, Peretti's or, Country Squire, Boswell's, all those type places. I just am not fortunate to have one close by. But I do think it's every time I go on a trip, I'm spending money at those places and talking to people, meeting people. That's an important thing to meet other pipe smokers and keep this thing going,
Right. You mentioned Boswell. I've talked about Boswell a lot on this channel. His blends and his pipes are among my absolute favorites. And every year I take a trip up to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and visit the battlefield. And I'll go to his Chambersburg store. And last year, for the first time, I went to his Alexandria store, where he is most of the time. And I walked into that shop and I thought, my goodness gracious, into the Alexandria shop. And you walk in there and you see J.M. Boswell behind the counter, checking people out, selling pipes and tobacco. And when you walk in, he offers you a cup of coffee. And he's just it is the perfect scene of what I envision an old-fashioned brick and mortar pipe shop looking like. And I sat down and talked with him for 3 or 4 hours. But the thing about J.M. Boswell, you don't see him on the YTPC. I don't know anybody who's ever convinced him to sit down and do an interview. I don't know of one video or one podcast where J.M. Boswell is present.
Yeah.
And he told me that he has not been to a trade show since the 1990s. It reached a point where he didn't have to anymore. He's literally got $1 million pipe business. And but I guess people like, I hope that Boswell stays around for a long time. I hope that every brick and mortar that's currently present in the country stays around for generations. But I don't know that that's going to happen. And I don't know that legally it will be able to continue because the trajectory, if we want to talk about the legality of pipe smoking, the trajectory is against more brick and mortar shops. So I think that the Pipe Nook is offering a unique contribution to the pipe smoking world, in that you have this sort of interesting mix. You're not a brick and mortar, but you're small enough where people can have a relationship with you as the shop owner. They
Yeah.
can call you, they can email you, and I'm sure that if there's a problem with an item, that you can deal with that on a personal level. Somebody's not going to call you and deal with a sales rep. They're going to be calling and talking to Eddie Gray from
Right.
the. So Eddie, do you have any plans to expand your inventory in the next couple of years? Or are you just basically going to stick with what you have? I noticed you started selling some Toscano cigars, so you
Yes,
are expanding in some ways.
I am. I recently picked up, started carrying Briarworks tobaccos. Toscano Cigars, or I think just went up last week on the site. And I do hope to carry 1 to 4 more brands of pipes and maybe 2 or 3 more brands of tobaccos before I'm to the point where I just can't add anything else. Now, the plan was to do that by 2024, but with the past year being what it was, I know I think you knew that I was having issues. There was a good year there where I couldn't carry tobacco
Right.
on the website.
Mm-hmm.
That's been since resolved, but that kind of, I had to tighten the belt for a bit and wasn't able to expand as quickly as I wanted to and carry new brands. So I'm thinking by 2025, I'll probably be at max capacity as far as what I want to carry. So here's hoping.
Do you have any plan to carry meerschaum pipes or in your inventory?
I do. I've had a few meerschaums in the past that were made by Rattrays, which is a brand that I carry now. They're hard to get a hold of. I haven't tried recently, but it got to the point where I just couldn't find them in stock. Rattrays just didn't have them available. But there are 2 or 3 meerschaum brands I'm looking into. I want to carry at least one of those.
Well, I'll tell you, among the requests I get for new video topics, in the top 3 is do a video on meerschaum pipes. Do a video on meerschaum. Meerschaum is experiencing a revival of sorts, from my perspective anyway. I think more and more people are becoming intrigued by the meerschaum quality. And I think that anybody who is in the online pipe world, such as you are, would benefit from engaging that interest sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And I have actually, well, my favorite meerschaum pipe that I have, it's an SMS, and my wife and I, we people will not believe this when I say it, but we seldom have any serious argument at all. I mean, it's but you know, we've been married 7 years. I know when you get older and everything changes, you might have a little bit more arguments every now and then, but we just really get along so good. But there was one time we had a disagreement, pretty serious, when we were living in South Carolina. It didn't last but a couple hours, and the reason it didn't last is because Alex got in the car and she went to town, and we actually had a local brick and mortar pipe shop. She went to town and she bought an SMS meerschaum and brought it to the house in a beautiful bag. And she basically said, let's make up. I don't want to be having an argument like this. And I said, honey, if it means that I can get a new meerschaum pipe whenever we have an argument, we need to do this more often.
She bought you a peace pipe.
She did. It was a peace pipe, but I so value that pipe, and of course I have memories behind every pipe that I buy.
Yeah.
But I think that more people are becoming interested in meerschaum. So the Toscano cigars, why did you start selling those?
Well, like I said, before I really got into pipe smoking around 2013, I smoked cigars for 20 years, you know, my early 20s to my early 40s. And I used to smoke these. I bought mostly your standard Caribbean style cigars from the tinderbox and whatnot, but there was one brand that you could buy at the drugstore back in the day, and I know that's unheard of now, but you could walk into your local Walgreens or CVS and there would be a full row out in the store of cigars. And one of those brands was a brand called Parodi, Parodi. And I really liked those cigars. They're dry cured Kentucky dark fired leaf. Dry cured means you don't have to keep them in a humidor, and that appealed to me. You can buy them in 5-packs, you know. Well, when I couldn't find them around town anymore, of course, I hit online and tried to find them somewhere. And I came across these Toscano cigars, and I looked them up on YouTube, and lo and behold, Matches 860 was smoking a Toscano cigar with our friend Sergeant Savinelli.
Well, I declare, I didn't know that Matches smoked cigars at all.
Well, I think only when Vinny brought him a cigar. They would smoke a cigar together, which that's kind of the beauty of these Toscano cigars. They're known as the friendship cigar because they're thicker in the middle. They're like a torpedo shape. You can clip them in the middle and you can share with a friend. And that's what they were doing on the first video I pulled up about Toscano cigars. I thought, well, land sakes.
Yeah.
But if it's good enough for Sarge and for John, I'm gonna give these a shot. And sure enough, the old cigars that I used to smoke that are made here in Pennsylvania in the States, they got their start from immigrants that came from Italy that were used to smoking these Toscano cigars, which is, they've been in business since 1818.
Well, Eddie, I've only had a Toscano one time.
Yeah.
And but I remember it just like it was yesterday. A good friend of mine from Richmond, Virginia, he and I met in Southwest Virginia and went on a hiking trip.
Yeah.
And he brought some of these because, you know, as you say, you don't have to have a humidor for them. And he took one, cut it in half, and gave me part of it, and he took the other. And I was just blown away because I love dark fired Kentucky anyway. And I've never had a cigar that was dark fired Kentucky centric. And I was, and so I saw you were starting to sell them, and I am getting ready to make an order with you so that I can have some of those Toscanos here at my house, because I miss that taste, and it just doesn't cross my mind most of the time to buy them if I'm placing an order anywhere else, or if I'm at a pipe show. I just don't immediately think about buying a Toscano cigar.
Yeah.
But there is a time and a place for it, and I certainly enjoyed that one time that I had it, and so I'm going to have to get some more. Eddie, I'm going to have to start drawing this video to a close. I don't want it to get too long, but tell people how they can find you. We'll put this information in the description below the video, but you have a website. Are you on social media? Tell people about how they can find you.
I am. I'm not super active anywhere outside of YouTube, but I've got a channel here on YouTube. It's called The Pipe Nook, 3 words. You can find me on Instagram at The Pipe Nook. I'll run together. And I do have a Facebook page, and I do have a Twitter that I almost don't do anything on the other social media, but you'll see me on there from time to time.
Good, good. Well, Eddie, it's been such a privilege having you here on the Pipe Cottage channel for a few moments. And I know that people would certainly appreciate the quality of business that you offer, and your packages are always perfect. I can get a package from you in the mail and it doesn't rattle. I have never received a package from an online pipe company that's as well done and well presented as yours.
Well, thank you.
And so that sort of thing matters to people. That it may seem small in the general scheme of things, but it matters. It matters. That presentation is important.
Well, I'm a stickler for packaging those orders because I've been on the receiving end of oversized boxes and no packing. And you open up a package and you get a pipe box that's dented in, or a book or whatever that's got, some kind of damage, and that's just not a fun experience. So I like to pack them to where you can kick them down the road and they're going to be all right.
They're going to be all right. Well, Eddie, I'm going to finish the video here, and people can get in touch with you on your website, and we'll put all that information below here on the video when we post it. But Eddie, thank you for sitting down with me for a few moments, and it's been a privilege and an honor, sir.
Thank you. It's good to be heard.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Alan Harrelson with the Pipe Cottage. Thank you for stopping by.